What's your status, Captain Zeleno? Zeleno.
I did it, sir. We did it.
Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at the Zeus Mk2, the ES variant. So this is the exploration variant of Zeus, and it is pretty impressive and possibly the best daily driver in the game, question mark. Obviously it's open to debate, but it's got a lot going for it and some little tricks up its sleeve which I think make it a very relevant candidate for that category of ship, daily drivers. It has fairly decent room in the back. You can squeeze vehicles in there. It has some extra components. It has excellent range for a ship of its size. It's actually very impressive how much range it's got. Also equipped with a size 3 radar. Again, very impressive for a ship of this size. So it has a lot going for it. Now obviously it's a very unique looking ship, and it's a sort of hats off to the original Zeus, the first explorer, space explorer from RSI, and there's no denying that it is very triangular and angles all over the place with the Zeus Mk2s, either the cargo variant or the ES. Now it's a very acquired taste. I kind of like it, I kind of don't. It's hard to put my finger on why that is. I really like the sort of angular aggressiveness of it, but also not all of it. It's hard to explain. It's a unique, very unique looking ship. Okay, it is a mini Dorito. Let's be honest. But you have to give it credit because the detail on the exterior, I think, is incredible. Very, very well thought out. There are some details on the interior that I think let it down somewhat, and that seems to be a trend from RSI at the moment. Very flavourless in some areas, but that might just be me being picky, because that's who I am. I'm very, very picky, unfortunately. It is what it is. But it does have a lot going for it, and as daily drivers go, having something that has excellent range, decent scanning equipment, can fit vehicles and cargo, and have room for you and your friends. So maybe you're new to the verse or looking into getting into Star Citizen, which by the way is probably the time to do it if you haven't already, as we're having a year of bug fixes, so things are on the up. The ship has a lot going for it. It has a lot of potential. I do think that this could possibly be the best daily driver. Now obviously that is completely open to discussion. You have to take into account people's particular tastes and what they want to do with their ship, but I think as an all-rounder, this ship is very capable. It has a lot going for it for its size, and also it's kind of nice to have something that can take a rock and go rock mining. These two pair up really well, because previously you could argue that the Nomad was the king of rock mining because it was just, you know, it's a pickup truck of space. The Nomad is fantastic. It's nice to see that this ship, although not designed for that, offers up some competition for the Nomad because they work well together. You know, that radar, the ramp, you know, you could easily have a good time rock mining with the ES. That's my sort of theory. And daily drivers, do they need to carry vehicles to be a good daily driver? I would argue no, but it's always a great addition having a ship that can take vehicles. There's no two ways about that. But I wouldn't necessarily say it is the be all and end all of a ship if it can or cannot take vehicles. It's just a huge plus. I think that's my sort of analysis on that side of the daily driver. A daily driver is something you should enjoy flying, okay? Hence, you fly it daily. That's the most important thing, not necessarily the stats. A lot of people get sucked in by stats. I try to avoid it because the game is constantly evolving. I tend to go by feel. If I really enjoy the ship and it's got some shortcomings, then I will just put up with the shortcomings. You know, it's a very sort of tricky category to 100% say this ship is the best daily driver, but the Zeus Mk2 ES does have quite a lot going for it. That's my sort of general consensus on this particular ship and the daily driver category. For those of you that want to go exploring, well, this ship will also cater to that, and it will cater to it very well. Like I said, it has excellent range, excellent radar for its size. All these things elevate its performance in the verse and make it more utilitarian, user friendly, and it's going to get you places you want to go. So I have taken the ship briefly through Pyro, and it was quite pleasant, to be honest, with the range and not having to work. This ship will go places other ships in its sort of weight category would not, just because of those long range fuel tanks, and we've got the better scanners and things like that. So it is a very strong competitor, the Zeus. The question is, can you adapt to how it looks? It flies pretty nicely. Again, though, that's very sort of at the time of recording, because as I've said before, the game is consistently evolving and changes are being implemented so quick it will make your head spin. It's very hard to keep catch up, but it drives nicely, flies nicely, lands nicely. I've got no real issues at all with the flight model. The MFDs, the cockpit, it's a very nice view flying this ship, I will say that. The way the nose overhangs the rest of the chassis is quite impressive. It does pack some serious firepower as well. So we've got some size 4s, and what's really nice about these is when you're watching them fire and you're in the firing position, you can see those big old cannons going to town. It's quite an immersive experience, and I think that's what makes a ship special, is if it captures you enough that you use it on the daily, that's a win. Sometimes it's better to go by feel rather than specs. You can chase stats all day long. I don't see the point at the moment because they're constantly changing. So let's just hope that the Zeus Mk2 continues to be a very strong potentialed ship for the future. I really do believe so. As you can see, missiles and the animation underneath, so you get to watch those leave the ship when you fire them as well. So it is as an overall package, the Zeus ES is actually really good. Really good. Brilliant detail on the exterior, decent firepower, room for you and friends, which is important. Especially now we can buy this ship in game, so if you're looking to get into the verse, now is the time. Right, let's then move on to the weapons and components for the Zeus Mk2 ES. Okay, so at the time of recording, these are the current stock components you will find for the Zeus ES. Okay, so as you can see, we've got some size 4 cannons at the front, which are Omniskis. Is it Omniski or Omni? I'm going to go with Omniskis. Okay, so we have some laser cannons on the front. The remote turret has the Panthers equipped. We have 8 missiles, which are the stock Dominators. Of course, you could swap these out for something with a bit more punch. Totally down to your discretion. And then we have 4 size 2 shields. That's quite impressive. Why is that impressive? Well, that's a lot more shields than a lot of the other ships of this sort of weight category of ships. So what does that tell us about the Zeus? Well, I think having 4 shields that each can be swapped out, as you can see, it is certainly a bonus, because one, it's going to increase your ability to escape a fight or survive an attack. That will pay dividends. I don't really think you're there to those shields are there for you to tank. I think they're there for you to make your escape. So it's very nice that we have 4 of those. As you can see, coolers and power plants are both size 2. We get 2 of each, cold snaps and full force. And then the QT drive is the chaos. Bearing in mind, the game's constantly evolving at the moment. This could change at any point. So always refer to DPS calculator, just to stay on top of what's relevant. And of course at the bottom we have the size 3 radar, which again is a huge deal for a ship of this size. Very useful. You're going to need it, especially when exploring, detecting danger, or even detecting commodities on other planets, and things of that nature. So minables are changing soon, so I will be throwing the rock in the back of this and exploring Pyro for 4.1. Let's see how we get on with that. Okay, so now it's time to take a look at the actual interior of the Zeus. Now, in the back, we have our cargo grid and obviously components. However, the largest vehicle I could squeeze in was a Tumbrel Cyclone, which is fairly good. Now, for those of you that have been in and around or driven the Tumbrel Cyclone, you know it's quite a beefy little ground vehicle. That does squeeze in here, along with the Rock. The Rock DS, the two-man variant, will not fit in here because it's slightly wider. So anything over a Tumbrel Cyclone, you're not going to squeeze in. Now, because of the way that ship is designed, with this angular sort of exterior, obviously that affects the interior, and cargo loading can be quite tricky with that rear ramp, which is unfortunate. So you just sort of have to mind and test what size SCU you can get in the back. But overall, it's manageable, can be frustrating. So that's just a heads up. So pretty impressive. The back, we've got the components, some components in there, etc. Then we have our angular corridor with the blue trim. I actually think that this trim in here would make the Polaris look a lot better. This color scheme right here should have carried over to the Polaris, but that's just my humble opinion. I think the Polaris is quite bland in some areas. This does it better. However, there are some internals of the ship which I'm not too fond of, but we'll cross that bridge when we make it to said bridge. Moving on then, we have personal lockers and our habitation area. 2 bunks, 4 bunks, and I mean, it's very clever how they've engineered and built this ship. My previous Zeus CL video was, I think the title was a little bit misleading because I said it was a well-engineered ship. I didn't mean in its functionality. I sort of meant how CIG have managed to compile this ship with its right angles everywhere and make things fit. I think that's what I was getting at. I think it was a little bit misleading, so I probably need to change that. Here we have the kitchenette area. It's almost clinical in here, isn't it? Not a lot of song and praise from me about this. It just feels a bit empty, a bit boring, nothing interesting in here. But then it's a functional ship, right? So plenty of room for your flares, etc. So you could spruce it up if you so choose. It's just, you have to find fault, yeah. I'm trying to find critique for the ship because overall it's pretty good, but very bland, very clinical. There is a little seat we can see out the window, which is a very nice touch, like a little mini breakfast bar, if you will. I think that's a very nice touch, but at least it's got some colour in here. But overall, fairly bland in my opinion, but that of course is subjective. Then we make our way up through the ship, and again we have some more component bays and engineering station. Obviously, engineering is going to be put on the back burner for a little bit while they bring the game up to a speed that is not broken all the time. And I'm happy to wait an entire year of bug fixes. Honestly, I think it's the best thing since sliced bread. Let's just get the game working. We've got plenty of ships, plenty of stuff to do. Let's just get everything working. So when engineering comes, that's where you will be operating to fix, maybe replace components, things of that nature. We do have a fire extinguisher and a ladder that takes us out the ship, but it is very impressive how they've managed to build a ship with all of these crazy angles and just make it work. When CIG put their minds to it, they are capable of doing very, very good things, and I think the Zeus and its shape is a proven point to that. And then finally, we're at the bridge again with some more systems in there. You saw life support, bridge cockpit area, just incredible detail to be found in here. I think with all the panels, even the floor looks absolutely fantastic in my humble opinion. So yeah, a lot going for it. There is. If you can get over, my only complaint was the kitchen was a little bit boring, and I'm really struggling to find massive faults with it because the potential of the Zeus is fantastic. The seats are great with the fold out MFDs, the stitching you can see on there. It's all fantastic. Right. Let's then move on to touring the Zeus. Now, I like to do this for 2 reasons. Long-time viewers know. One, it's nice to show you pretty pictures. It's another thing to get a sense of scale. So we will walk around this beauty of a ship. As you can see, very, very pointy at the front. That's RSI's thing. That's what they do. They enjoy making ships that are extremely pointy like arrows. We go down the starboard side of the ship and you can see it's very sleek. Tricycle landing gear, various lights, landing lights as well, which they're starting to implement. Although I don't think they're the brightest, and I don't think I have them on at the moment, but I'm sure this ship has landing lights. In fact, now that I say that, I'm not entirely sure, believe it or not. I can't remember, but I'm 90% sure it does have landing lights, which is important. We have some thrusters, and then again, we will check the gear well, because there are details in there that people miss. You can see all the gubbins in there, some pipes, electronics, nice yellow trim around the landing gear itself. It's really cool. Around the back then, we have a entry point, of course, to the ramp. Some more lights, some little stickers, some caution things. Now, the engines on the Zeus, again, really nicely done. The flames look amazing. Some more thrusters here. Yeah, very, very detailed exterior. And as I said in previous videos, I'm very sort of attention to detail is something that makes or break a ship, can make or break a ship, and I think the Zeus's exterior is pretty exquisite. I like the shape, but I don't. It's so hard to put my finger on why that is. It's very, it's like the Freelancer Max, the Freelancers. They look so frumpy. I don't hate them, but I don't like them. You know, that's the kind of vibe I get with the Zeus. Anyway, I'm waffling. We'll carry on. So, ramp comes down. It's a nice fast ramp. As I said, you can get anything over a tumble cyclone, you will struggle. It's quite a narrow ramp, and some SCU boxes are a pain in the arse to get in this ship. So really think about what sort of SCU you want to bring in here, what size of container before you do it, if you're taking the Zeus. So you may need to do a little bit of planning. So we'll close the ramp, and what we have here is a component bay, okay, with the jump drive, and I believe we've got some coolers here and the power plant. Easy access, plenty of room for fixing things here. So in terms of component layout, I think it's very good. Radar and a shield generator, and then we go over to this side, and what we have here is, okay, so it's symmetrical, except for this particular bay has room for the batteries. That's another thing that we're going to get in the future. What will be good, if the ship goes down, you can temporarily power it by batteries. And then we have the fuel tank for the Zeus Mk II ES. A very big selling point. It's going to get you places that you need to go and not have to constantly worry about refueling. Huge plus for this ship. I think the fuel, the 4 extra shields, really play into this ship's hands for daily drivers, okay? And if it's just you and a small group of friends, you are pretty much set for this ship, you know? That stitching is fantastic, by the way. This is what I mean, when CIG really pull their guns out, you know, they nail it. They nail it. They really go to town. And then I think this ship is a prime example of what can be achieved. As you can see, every bed, if the camera would stop, let me do it, please. Let's try this one. No, we'll just get on the floor. As you can see, there is monitors there. Something for you to watch if you're laying there. You know, it's just little attentions to detail like that I appreciate. You know, that doesn't have to be there. You can also, as you can see, light switch. Emergency. That's to let someone know that someone's just recently been to the toilet and probably not go to sleep. Okay, that's what that's for. 100%. Yeah, it's really well engineered in terms of how they put the ship together. I appreciate it. So then we move on to the ensuite, if you can call it that. Very cramped, but it's not a luxury ship. It's a functional explorer. The animation there for the toilet is excellent. Good stuff. Yeah, it's quite... I think it's very hard not to say this is not one of the best daily drivers. I don't want to say the best, but it's definitely up there. Here we come to the kitchen area then, and yeah, I mean, if I really have to criticize it, it's just a bit lifeless, isn't it? Like, I wouldn't mind seeing some cups and bowls and things like that. Maybe, you know, your flair can sort of spruce it up a little bit, give it a bit of life, a bit of energy in here, but it's functional, right? And these do work, which is also pretty nice. So I'm just nitpicking, really, but it is kind of clinical in it, a bit more like a doctor's office as opposed to a kitchen. Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of feel I get from this particular area of the ship. But again, it's not a massive problem. It really isn't. The ship itself is very useful, practical, user-friendly. You can take friends, go exploring, do bunker missions. There's so many things you can do with a ship that really sells it. So I have to find flaws, and I think the kitchen is the flaw. Opposite there then, we have our gun rack, which is pretty cool, pretty self-explanatory. Then we have sort of midship here. You have fire extinguisher, an exit point, and of course some more engineering stuff. So we have shield generators, batteries. Now, for shield generators, as I said, I don't think you're designed to stand here and take a beating in this ship. I think it's designed to give you redundancies and time to escape certain situations. I don't think the health pool of the Zeus is going to save you, but I also think currently in game the time to kill is a little bit too fast to utilize at the moment for the Zeus Mk II ES, although I haven't been beaten up in it enough to fully convey my true sort of feelings on it. I think it will come good. I'm just not too sure how it performs right now, if you know what I mean. But 4 shields is definitely a huge plus, absolutely no doubt in my mind, because having redundancies built in and that ability to escape certain situations is a must. Here we have some suit lockers, I believe, and then we come to the neck of the ship just behind the cockpit. We have some more life support, avionics, life support, and another shield generator, because it just has all the shield generators in the world. Another weapon rack, good place for it. Yeah, and then we come to the cockpit bridge area, which is enough for you and 2 friends. So co-pilot, pilot, we have a remote turret as well, which is very useful. I do start, I'm starting to favour remote turrets over manned in some certain situations, and I think this ship would be better off with a another remote turret. I think not necessarily an open, maybe one with just bulldogs, you know, just a little bit of top coverage, but I think you might be pushing it there with it's already got 4 shields. Who knows, things are getting added all the time. It could be a thing. I'm just saying, I think it doesn't have to be an OP turret, but maybe some size 1 bulldogs on another remote turret, so both of your friends could operate 2 turrets. I think you've got a very competent mid-range explorer, forward stroke, daily driver. I really do think this ship fits that bill. Visibility wise then, it's got that classic RSI design, but there's no sort of major impedance. It's a great ship. So there we go, guys. That was my video on the RSI Zeus MK2 ES. Very nice MFDs as well. Yeah, big fan of those. Although I will say the UI does need clearing up somewhat, but we'll get there. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and obviously I'll have more Star Citizen content en route to a location near you very soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care and cheers.